I'd like to add approval to accept Department of Justice requirement for 4 hours of training and annual reporting for Fair Housing Act. I will drop that into the chat as well, so the language is visible.
As under unfinished business.
Yes, sir.
Unfinished business item B. You got it?
Thank you, Mayor.
All right.
I think I need do I need a second for an amendment?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay.
All right. It's been approved and properly second. Under unfinished business item B. Okay. Yeah. Got it. Presentation by citizens. This is your time.
There, you need to vote on it.
Hey,
Yeah.
watch me.
I got it. I got it.
How do you mute?
I thought I heard Barry.
Okay, all in favor?
It's up there.
Aye.
Ah,
Aye.
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 No,
Mute it.
no, I want to hear.
You can hear them. You want to mute yourself.
Oh.
do you have it up?
No, I can't get it up.
So that's unanimous.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Presentation by citizens and agenda items only. Is any citizen willing to speak? Are there any citizens willing to make presentations at this time? No citizens willing to speak right now? Okay. Moving forward then. Unfinished business, approval to accept the unanimous recommendations from the Irmo ATAX Committee, Advisory Committee. Is there a motion for approval?
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay. Is that Mr. Sickinger?
Kelly.
Kelly and Eric, right? Okay.
No, how about me?
That was
That was
Mr.
Mr. Daniels.
Who
Councilman
made the
Daniels.
motion? Danielson made the motion. Bush seconded.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Bush. Mr. Danielson, rather. Go ahead, Mr. Danielson.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I feel the same way I did a week ago when we dealt with this. I'm fine. I think we need to let the committee stand on their decision. I see no reason to turn the apple cart over on that, and that's how I feel. So I believe they've made a good decision, and we should stand by them.
Okay. Mr. Bush.
Yeah, so I've had some input from citizens, and at this time, I just want to make a motion to forward the amount $21,945 till next year, and the chamber would get their amount in the amount of $11,055 this year.
I'm confused with what you're saying there. What do you mean?
A motion to amend.
To forward, instead of paying out the $21,945 to Lake Murray Country, to forward that over to next year's budget.
You can't. This is from This is from this year's A-tax money.
I was under the impression from Bob that the money could be forwarded to next year.
That is correct. I mean, you don't have to give it out this year. You can wait 1 year. It has to be spent within 2 years.
Okay. All right. That's your motion then, Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Is there a second on that motion?
There's a second.
Okay. There's a discussion on that motion. Ms. Condon?
I've heard from some citizens too, who have reservations about how much publicity or the amount and quality that we get. And I think it's a pretty good idea. I know what the chamber's gonna do because they told us. I called and found out. And I certainly trust them to do that. I don't know what Lake Murray Country's gonna do. If somebody else does, tell me.
Okay. Mr. Sickinger on the amendment, Mr.
On the
Sickinger.
amendment. So that was not something I had considered prior to this meeting. I think the council people raised some interesting points. My, I think the concern I would have is knowing that Lake Murray Country does have a budget shortfall as a reduction of A-tax money and other funds coming their way from other municipalities. That's not Irmo. This would be a tiny chunk of that, but that would be the counterweight, I think, to pushing it to next year.
Okay. All right. Mr. Danielson on the amendment.
I'm not in support of the amendment.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see why pushing it back to next year, what that's gonna do, but it's fine. Any other comments? Are you ready to vote?
Kelly, Councilman Bush, any other, I mean, on a second round, I'd love to hear if you have any additional points besides what Councilwoman Condon had to say.
I agree with her, and I do wonder. I don't think we get anything specific for that money. I wandered around and I did a little research, and so that next year's total would amount to probably more. I mean, I don't know what the revenue is going to be next year coming in from A-tax, but I would assume it's going to drop off from what this year's totals are. But that we could spend the next year in our workshop meetings evaluating and trying to get, an application from an organization that would specifically, promote Irmo.
Well,
We've got some new establishments in town, the bowling alley, Stars and Strikes, and some things that, it would be cool to have a little brochure. Maybe they got put out at visitor centers or somewhere that would help a little bit directing consumers into Irmo. So anyway, that's all I have.
okay. I'm not going to argue with y'all about it. I think it's not appropriate to push it off until next year. This committee has already made a decision. They've already told us how much the allocation is going to be, and it's either up to us to either approve it or not to approve it. So we're ready to vote on the amendment. Clerk, read the roll, please, on the amendment.
Unmute.
I can't hear you. Gotta.
Mr. Bush,
Yay.
Ms. Condon,
Yay.
Mr. Danielson,
Nay.
Mr. Sickinger,
No.
Mayor Walker.
No. Okay. So now we're back to the original approval to accept the recommendations from the Accommodation and Tax Committee, Advisory Committee. Any more comments about that? Anybody else want to make comments about it? Seeing none. Will the clerk read the roll?
Okay, and this is approving it just the way it's written in our line item, in on our agenda
Right.
with announced. Okay. Mr. Bush,
No.
Ms. Condon,
No.
Mr. Danielson,
Yes.
Mr. Sickinger,
Yes.
and Mayor Walker.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, could I add something to be included in the minutes?
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Condon.
I do appreciate the committee, and I know they worked hard on it, and our argument had nothing to do with their competence or their work. So I want to thank them for that.
Okay. All right. Okay, item B, we just added. Is there a motion for approval to accept the Department of Justice Department's requirements for a 4-hour training in annual reporting of Fair Housing Act? Is
So
there a
moved.
Mr. Go ahead.
I'll second.
Mr. Bush, second. Go ahead, Mr. Sickinger.
Yeah, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say about it, but as regarding what's what's out of turn and whatnot, but I believe that this represents a final chapter and allow the town to move forward. So certainly in favor of it.
Okay.
Jake can fill you in on whatever, the details, Jake.
Bob and I spent all morning with the federal court trying to hammer out a resolution of the case dealing with the accommodations in Friarsgate. And we were able to get what we felt to be nothing more than a very rational request from the Justice Department, as opposed to the onerous demands which had previously been placed upon us. I will say that the Justice Department lawyers conducted themselves in a very professional and civil fashion towards us. I am hoping that some of the animosity has now left. I hope our citizen is happy with the resolution. We certainly worked hard to make it happen. All we really have been asked to do is to do 4 hours of training on the act, which I actually look forward to. And for a period of 2 years, I believe it's 2 years, that if there are any complaints under the act, that we report them to the Justice Department so they can know what's going on. Those requests, I believe we probably would have acquiesced in without a lawsuit. So I am delighted to know this matter is finally resolved. And I would like to thank Bob for his cooperation this morning. He was a perfect gentleman, and I think that his input into the discussions went a long way towards getting this matter resolved.
Okay. Is there any other comments? Ready to vote? Clerk, read the roll, please.
Mr. Bush,
Yay.
Ms. Condom,
Yay.
Mr. Danielson,
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger,
Yay.
and Mayor Walker.
Yes. All righty. At this point, if there's any presentation by citizens, is there any citizens wanting to make a comment or presentation to the council? I don't see anybody jumping up and down, so I guess there's nobody wanting to make a comment. There's no executive session needed. Is there a motion for adjournment?
I'll make the motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Bush made a motion, Mr. Sickinger seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you very much. The meeting is now officially adjourned.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Au
Bye.
revoir.
Bye all.
Good to see y'all.
Mm.
Always.